If you can see me, please come in the chat and let me know you can see me. Ooh, I've got one person watching, but it's probably me. Oh, yeah, I can see myself. Ah, hi, Mel. I wasn't sure if it was working, but it is. Thank goodness. I am very good. Thank you very much. How are you? I have got a long list of stuff to talk about again. Hiya, Paul. Good to see you here. I feel like I haven't seen very much of you recently, but yeah, everything's good. So it says that there's 3 people watching, so it's possibly one of them is me, because I was checking on YouTube. Can you hear me okay? I'm assuming yes, otherwise you would have told me. Right. So I'm gonna give you a rundown of what I'm gonna talk about today. So of course I have to talk about the Darlington Nurses because they won. So I'm gonna I think I'm gonna use the email from Dusty, who sometimes comes in the chat, because it's really good. It's a really good summary. So I'm going to use that to give a bit more information. Mel says, exhausted from completing an ombudsman online complaint form this morning. Ooh, what's that about? That's interesting. I'm going to talk about my new qualification. I'm going to give you an update on my situation with the NCPS, my professional body, and what's happening with that. I'm going to talk about Sonia Poulton and the interview that I did with her. I'm going to talk about my interview with Tracy Shannon, trans widow, and I'm going to tell you about my plans in February because I'm not going to be around. Right, so should we wait for a few more people to come on, or should we just crack on? Probably should just crack on because we might not get many more. It's been hectic at TBF Towers. Oh, do you call things towers as well? My husband calls where we are based for our work the name of our company Towers, even though it will hire rooms off the local council, and it's not. It doesn't even look like a tower. It doesn't look like a tower, and it's not ours. And other businesses are in here as well. Anyway, it's funny. The Boiling Frog Towers. Ian will like that when I tell him. I'm just going to shut some tabs, otherwise I will get distracted. And now that I know that I've probably got ADHD, it makes loads of sense why I struggle to focus on stuff, and I like lots of tabs opening, why I struggle with numbers. So I think I'm going to start with that, me new qualification that I've got. Well, I haven't got it yet, but I will be getting it. So last year I started a clinical supervision course, and I always struggle with academic courses, and now I know why, because it just, when you have to put it in order, and each learning outcome is 3 numbers, 1.2.2 or whatever, I feel overwhelmed, and I struggle to put it in order and everything. And now that I know about ADHD, it makes sense. I also struggle with traveling, because you usually have to stay focused on a time, which is a number, a flight, which is a number, the time of the flight, which is a number and a number, your seat number, and if you travel on more than one train, then that's a lot of numbers, and that overwhelms me. So Mel's saying the bonkers thing about the online form was being asked if I was a woman, a man, non-binary, something else, prefer not to say. And Mel, which one is it? Is it a woman? Ridiculous. Is it a complaint about something to do with this? Anyway, so I've been feeling quite overwhelmed because I had to do some practice of clinical supervision in order to qualify, and so I wasn't able to get those done in time for the end of the course. So then I wasn't able to hand me work in at the same time as everybody else, and then of course I've been procrastinating, but I managed to get it done this week, and I've been to hand it in today. So there's a little bit of anxiety in case I get it sent back, but hopefully I won't, and it's in, and I can now call myself a clinical supervisor. So I don't know if you know what a clinical supervisor is. It is, so every counsellor needs support, really, because we work with sometimes some quite harrowing situations, and we need support so that we can talk to someone in confidence as part of the work that we do. So this is where a clinical supervisor comes in, and they support a counsellor with the emotional support. They're like a sounding board, and they also support with the legal and ethical issues that come up in a counselling practice. So having been qualified as a counsellor since 2012, I decided it was time that I upped my qualifications, and I got that certificate. So I did, and I have, and hopefully I've passed. But I handed it in, and my course was on the other side of the river. So I'm on the north side of the River Tyne, and I did my course across the river on the south side of the River Tyne, and so I had to go through the Tyne Tunnel. And I went through this morning, and there was a big lorry broken down, so I was sitting in traffic for it took me like 45 minutes to get there and 10 minutes to get back, because it was just one of the tunnels, because there's 2 tunnels, one going south and one going north, and it was a southbound tunnel that was blocked, so it was down to 1 lane. If it had been a car, they would have just towed it out, but because it was a lorry, they had to wait for someone to sort it. Mel's saying it is a woman, and it is the same as at birth. They asked her that too. Yes, I would I would think, and yeah, that's the same as everyone, really. I hope it wasn't medical. I'm like up to here with medical places. You know, I did that video where that woman said she was a man, got placed on a male psychiatric ward, male only, single sex. A woman put in there and was raped twice by 2 different men. Like, who would have thought that would happen? Professional experience is more important than anything, in my opinion. I agree, actually. And I think a lot of people get hung up about qualifications, especially now, these days, when I think that it's the relationship that makes the counselling relationship work. The counselling experience works because of the relationship that you've got between the counsellor and the client. That is the most important thing. It's not about the qualification, although I think it's probably a good idea to study a bit so that you know, uh, like when stuff comes up, you can kind of understand what's happening. It is important to learn as well, but I don't really rate qualifications, especially when it involves lots of numbers and putting things in order, because that just doesn't suit my brain. So yeah, I don't learn well in that way, and all courses seem to be like that now, like NVQ style, and it just freaks me out. But I think over the years I've managed to like calm myself down, and I've been able to deal with it. I've found a way to deal with it. But I remember like 2009 when I did, um was it me 3 or me 4? Yeah, I think I did me MVQ level 3 in information advice and guidance. Um, and then I needed to do my level 4, and I pretty much had a meltdown, and I didn't really understand why at the time. Um, I just thought I was thick, but I'm not. It's those 1.2.3 learning outcome. Meet that. I flipping hate it. It's all those numbers. And Paul Boylan Frog is saying congrats, Kelly, on your qualification. Well, I'll let you know when I get my certificate, because that's the bit where I can really say that I'm qualified. But it is something that I got pulled up on when there was a complaint put in against me with my professional body, the NCPS, because I had put supervision, because I was advertising that I do supervision because I needed the practice to get me qualification, but I hadn't put on that I was in training on my profile, and so they tried to get me. Well, you haven't got a qualification listed, but you said that you're a supervisor, and I'm just like, oh, for God's sake. For one, it could be a mistake, like I might have just forgotten to put it on, or whatever. But anyway, so I did explain that I was in my training, and of course that was fine. But they did try and get me for it, and it's like, you don't even have to be qualified. You don't have to. You don't need to be qualified to be a counsellor either. Anybody can call themselves a counsellor. Um, but anyway, that's another story. In order to be registered with your professional body, you have to jump through some hoops, like being qualified and getting supervision regularly and stuff like that. So it's quite a important part of the work that we do. So someone actually on me channel asked how much I charge, and was completely very upset about how much I charge. But yeah, I've got a lot of expenses that I have to pay out before I start making any money, and one of them is supervision. Another is like keeping your training up to date, and you know, room hire, and all the marketing that I do. Like I spend a long time doing marketing, but she said she knew exactly who I was. You know, the sort of people though that just call anyone a grifter. I have to make a living though. And actually, it's quite difficult to, if you've ever had a business, you'll know that it is quite difficult to make money running a business, and you don't make money straight away. You have to have expenses before you start like breaking even and like stuff like that. So anyway, so I am hopefully, fingers crossed, finished me qualification. So I'm pleased about that. Pleased to have handed it in. So update. Do you want an update on the NCPS, the professional body? Because I think it's hilarious. It's so funny. Well, it's not really, but I've got to laugh, otherwise I'll cry. So I think on the last update I told you about, I was waiting for the missing information. So I'm going to give you a quick run through of what happened. So I was targeted online by activists, including Helen Webberley, and as it turns out, there was 5 of them altogether who complained to my professional body. My professional body complaints process says that it's only client complaints that they will take forward, and the complaints process should not be invoked for online spats between counsellors. That's what it says. But this was an online spat between counsellors, and it was taken forward, and I wasn't suspended at first. I had to jump through loads of hoops. They wanted me to prove that I had a supervisor. They wanted me to prove all of my... did they want me? No, I think I'd already... Oh yes, I had to provide a training log to show what training I'd been doing. I can't remember what else they asked for, but they did ask for lots of information. Paul is saying running a business is so hard, made even harder by governments. Definitely. Don't get me started on tax. Because I can rant about it. Yeah. So yes, they didn't suspend me straight away, but then there was another complaint with more screenshots that came in after they'd started investigating this complaint, and they just kept adding to it. Oh, there's another one, and there's another one. Anyway, so I had challenged someone online because she was going on about gender affirming care for children, and I said it wasn't. It was against safeguarding to give children sterilisation drugs, which Lupron is one of the drugs, and that's what they use to castrate sex offenders. So I had said something about that. At that point, I was suspended. So I suspect that the person dealing with the complaint had some sort of personal interest or was involved somehow and was triggered by that. I don't know that. It's just my sort of idea. My, you know, it's my... Can't think of the word. Anyway, so the next thing that happened was I put together a response with the help of the Free Speech Union, and it was like 13 pages long. It was very robust. It was really good. And my suspension was dropped. However, they said they were going to leave the complaint open in case the police got involved, and that bit is important, I suspect. So after that, so the suspension was lifted, the complaint was left open for 3 months. At the end of the 3 months, I said, right, is it closed now? Yes, it's closed. The complaint's closed. There's no further action. I did do a subject access request to Kent Police and found out some bits and bobs, but I don't think I did a good job of that, and I could have made it more thorough and found out more. But I don't think I'm gonna... Maybe I will. Maybe I'll proceed with that, actually. Maybe I'll put in another one with a better word, and let me think about that, if I can be bothered, because I'm causing waves. So I want to complain about what's happened, because although they lifted the suspension and they closed the complaint, they've kind of admitted that they shouldn't have done it. However, I'm not happy with that. So what I want to do is get me subject access request, get all the information that they hold about me, and put in a complaint. And I think I've got enough to complain anyway with what I know. However, it is possible to put in a subject access request and get everything else. So that's the plan. So I put in the request, I got it back, and realised that they had not included all the stuff that they should have included. So and they'd put in the subject access request response, they'd put that there was over 50 emails back and forwards between NCPS and the complainants. So I know that those emails exist. So I went back and I asked them, oh, hello, Annie. I went back and I asked them to send those emails, and I gave them a week to do it. And I got a response back saying, oh no, we've got a month. So I checked that out. No, they don't. It's not a new subject access request. It's an existing one. it's fine. So Monday was the deadline and they missed it. I didn't get a response. So on Tuesday, I did some digging. I found out who the chief executive is, and I wrote a letter which I sent signed for, not recorded delivery, because they don't know what that is when you go to the post office. Anyway, so I sent it signed for, and on Wednesday I got an email back saying, no, you've had the emails. You got them off Grace, who's in complaints. And I was like, no, I didn't. I had the complaints bundle. I haven't had the correspondence between NCPS and the complainants. So I responded and I got a reply back. No, in the reply, so she said in the reply that I had the emails, but I haven't. And then she went on and said the minutes from the meetings that they had, the internal meetings they had about me, were handwritten and were destroyed. That's like saying the dog ate me homework. So I'm now convinced that those emails contain some very damning information, such as like maybe they encouraged these complainants to go to the police, maybe. I don't know, obviously, because I haven't got them, but the more they withhold them, the more I think that there's something that they're trying to hide. So in the process of writing to the chief executive, I did a bit more digging and found out that NCPS are actually quite good with this sort of stuff compared to the other professional bodies, which is really good news. And the current chief executive has been in for a while and withdrew his signature on behalf of NCPS from the MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding, and you'll have heard of this if you've been following along with this issue. It's about the conversion therapy, which confuses me to heck, because that is what gender affirming care is. It's conversion therapy on gay kids, but everything's back to front, as you know, with the trans ideology. So everything they accuse you of is what they are doing. So this chief executive has withdrawn his support on behalf of NCPS from this Memorandum of Understanding. So under the NCPS rules, they're not going to force therapists or get therapists into trouble for not providing we should be exploring with people. That's the job of a therapist, is to explore. It's not to affirm someone's ideology. So I was quite chuffed, but it does make me wonder if they claim they've already sent you the emails, they shouldn't have a problem sending them to you again. Oh, well, she did offer to send them again, but I have them. I've got the emails that they're talking about, but she's pretending that they don't exist now. But she's already admitted that she's got them, and they exist because she put it in and it's all in writing. So yeah, so I've given them another 7 days to provide the emails, but if I don't get them, I'm gonna write to the chief exec again, probably. I mean, I'll think about what I'm gonna do, but apparently what I found out is that the destruction of minutes of meetings about someone's suspension of the professional body is against their standards and their code of practice, because they are registered with this other organisation. I can't remember what it's called, the PSA or something. So all of the professional bodies are registered with this other organisation that keeps them right and keeps them to standards. And if they've destroyed minutes, then it's not really looking very good. So yes, I'm starting to think those emails are very juicy. What are they hiding? What don't they want me to see? I mean, it might be that it's just a load of rubbish but I want to see them. Yeah, so that's my news. So, yes, and what am I going to talk? Darlington Nurses. Let's go back to that because this is really good news. So I'm just going to get this up because I want to read out what the judge actually said. So, and I'm getting this from Dusty Masterson, his email, because he sent out an email. It's really very good. So it says, victory for Darlington Nurses as judge rules policy that allows men into women's changing rooms is unlawful harassment and discrimination. And this is based on a press release by Christian Concern. So, in a landmark judgment, an employment tribunal has ruled that County Durham and Darlington NHS Foundation Trust unlawfully discriminated against and harassed the female nurses by requiring them to share female-only changing rooms with a biological male. The ruling confirms that the trust policy allowing men into women's spaces is unlawful and violates the rights of female staff. No shit, Sherlock. But thank God, do you know what I mean? It is still possible that they could go against the Supreme Court. But anyway, in their ruling, employment judge Sweeney and tribunal members Denise Newey, Malcolm Brain declared... Is that two people? There's no comma, so I'm not sure. Anyway, they declared, by requiring the claimants to share a changing room with a biological male trans woman, the respondent engaged in unwanted conduct related to sex and gender reassignment, which had the effect of violating the dignity of the claimants and creating for the claimants a hostile, humiliating and degrading environment. By not taking seriously and declining to address the claimants' concerns of August and September 2023 and of the 4th of April 2024 regarding that part of the transition in the workplace policy that afforded biological males access to the female changing room, the respondent engaged in unwanted conduct related to sex and gender reassignment, which had the effect of creating for the claimants a hostile and intimidating environment. The tribunal considered and followed last year's seminal decision of the Supreme Court in For Women Scotland Limited versus Scottish Ministers. The case, supported by the Christian Legal Centre and represented in court by, I'm not sure if I can say this name right, but I'll try, Niadzi Feto Casey, not sure that's right, but bear with me, has been hailed as a major victory for women's rights and workplace safety. The tribunal found that the trust failed to uphold its legal obligations under the Equality Act by disregarding the nurses' safeguarding concerns about privacy and dignity. Under the transitioning in the workplace policy, female nurses had been told by the trust that if they had an issue with getting changed in front of a man who identifies as a woman, they should find alternative changing facilities. What, like a woman's changing room? The tribunal's judgment concludes, we were unclear what was meant by the submission that the policy was lawful. And that's in lawful. And deeper consideration of the argument led us to conclude that the policy of permitting biological males who identify as women to use a female changing room was not lawful. The judgment then points out that the Workplace Health, Safety and Welfare Regulations 1992 requires an employer to provide changing facilities, which includes separate facilities for or separate use of facilities by men and women where necessary or reasons of propriety. In contrast to the recent decision in a similar case in Scotland, Sandy Peggy versus Fife NHS Trust, the tribunal clearly declared that the law leaves no scope for permitting men to use a female changing room based on their gender identity or under any other pretext. The tribunal disbelieved the HR manager, Ms. Atkinson, who denied telling the nurses who raised concerns that they needed to be educated, broaden their mindset, compromise and be inclusive. Forced into a temporary office for 11 months to change that opened onto a public corridor, the nurses discovered during the tribunal hearing that the trust had compromised their safety again by refusing to adhere to fire regulations. Oh dear, just gets worse, doesn't it? The nurses' case has seen them meet with Health Secretary Wes Streeting, leader of the Conservative Party Kemi Badenoch, and receive public support from J.K. Rowling. Responding to the ruling, Bethany Hutchinson, Darlington nurse and president of the Darlington Nursing Union, said, "This is a victory for common sense and for every woman who simply wants to feel safe at work. Women deserve access to single-sex spaces without fear or intimidation. Forcing us to undress in front of a man was not only degrading but dangerous. Today's ruling sends a clear message. The NHS cannot ignore women's rights in the name of ideology. We stood up because we knew this was wrong. No woman should be forced to choose between her job and her safety. This ruling is a turning point, and we will keep fighting until every woman in the NHS is guaranteed the dignity and protection she deserves." End quote. Andrea Williams, chief executive of the Christian Legal Centre, which supported the nurses, added, hang on, I'm just going to have a drink. And I can see, I can't see the chat messages because I've got a different window open, but I can see that there's 5 chat messages, so I'll come to those in a minute when I've finished reading this. So I'm going to quote Andrea Williams now, chief executive of the Christian Legal Centre. So here we go. "This judgment exposes the extent to which the NHS hierarchy has been captured by extreme gender ideology and its willingness to sacrifice women's safety and dignity in order to uphold it. Allowing a man into a female-only space because he claims to be a woman violates human dignity, common sense, the law of the land, and biblical truth. The NHS and the government should now give up their sabotage of clear judicial decisions and abide by the law which acknowledges that men are men and women are women." Yeah. The tribunal's decision comes amid growing national concern about NHS policies that prioritise gender identity over sex-based protections. Equalities Minister Bridget Phillipson has continued to refuse to publish lawful new guidance on single-sex spaces by the Equalities and Human Rights Commission. Ends. So that's the end of the press release. So let's have a look. So we have Mel saying, "Good for you, Kelly." Ah yes, I've seen those actually. Hooray, English Tribunal, Employment Tribunal, Common Sense, yes. 3 people on an ET panel. And Paul's saying, "Brilliant for the nurses." And you need another chat with HR guru Tanya about this. Oh, I'm not sure if she'll come on again actually, because she's quite busy. She's just launched a thing for... so she's got the podcast, This Isn't Working, but she's also got a business that she's launched called This Is Working, to get people who work in HR to come together. But I can ask her. Yeah, that would be good. And Annie's saying, "I do hope it changes things for others too." Well, that's what we're hoping for in the For Women Scotland thing, didn't we? But God, I mean, it's unbelievable how common sense has gone out the window. Anyway, what else was I going to talk about? Ah yes, Who's Seen Me interview with Sonia Poulton. I was quite chuffed to get on to Sonia Poulton. So that was on Monday. It feels like ages ago, but it wasn't. It was this week. And yeah, I think it went really well. I did get an email off Uta afterwards. She liked just about everything I said, but she said that I did get it wrong about the domestic violence and physical abuse. Apparently that happens in 40% of her cases in her research that she's doing. So yeah, that is quite a significant amount. So Mel saying it was brilliant. Thank you. Were you watching live or did you catch up? I messaged everyone and said, watch it live, and loads of people forgot. Which I can't really grumble about because, yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it? But yeah, she invited me on because, well, no, actually, she wanted Uta to go on, but because it was live and Uta is in America, she would have had to get up in the middle of the night, like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. So she said she didn't want to, and she would have done it had they been able to record it, but Sonia's schedule doesn't allow that. So Uta put me forward and said that I would be really good. So I felt kind of like under pressure to do a good job, and also I knew that Sonia potentially could have a lot of people watching. So, oh, you've been hyping me YouTube video, me Sonia Poulton one. Thank you. Yes, it's got nearly 1,000 views. So after the interview, Sonia sent me the clip of just the bit with me on. So I posted that on my channel. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and watch it because it's really good. Even if I do say so myself. Uta, the feedback from Uta was that I got a lot in a short space of time. There was a couple of questions I think I could have probably answered better because she asked me about all these court cases, and I started waffling on about it being easier to speak. But you know, it was live, and I didn't know what she was going to ask, and so yeah, never mind. And Sonia emailed me afterwards and said I did a good job as well, so that was good. Because yeah, I bet she does get some people who are. I mean, I was nervous, but I bet she gets people who are a lot more nervous and kind of crumble when they get online, get on air. So yeah, so I'm glad I did that. Also, I have done an interview with Tracy Shannon, who is a trans widow, so that went out on Wednesday. If you haven't seen that yet, it's a really good one. Tracy has been on loads of big channels, so I'm really grateful that she came on mine. She did a really good job of telling her story, and I have connected to quite a few more trans widows just recently because I'm interacting on Facebook in some of the groups, and I've managed to. So I've got another trans widow booked in, which I won't talk about too much because I don't like to count my chickens because sometimes it just doesn't happen. And it was third time. It was the third try for Tracy because she got mixed up with the time difference and stuff, which happens all the time because I think she's in Texas. So and then so yes, I've got another one booked in, and I've had this other woman booked in for quite a long time, but she messaged me this week, so she's remembered. So hopefully it'll happen. And I think if I remember rightly, she worked with sterilisation drugs or something. So that's going to be a really interesting interview as well. Looking forward to it. Yeah, and I've only got one other thing left to talk about, and I've only been talking for 40 minutes, so doing pretty well on it, not waffling much. So, yes, I have to tell you that in February, for the majority of February, I'm not going to be around. I'm taking some time off. I'm going on a fantastic trip of a lifetime, which is possibly going to be a more regular thing. Let me put you out of your misery and tell you what I'm talking about. So, my son's getting married, and his fiance is from Mauritius. So in February, I am flying to Mauritius with my son and my future daughter-in-law, and we're going to meet her family. So I'm going to be away for most of February, and so then they are, and this is, so they have to meet. Reese has to meet the family before he gets married. They have to meet all the extended family before they actually get married, and then they're going to have just a small thing where they sign the papers in March, and then they're going to have a proper ceremony in a church probably sometime in the summer. And then there's going to be a wedding in Mauritius as well. So 2027, I'll be going back to Mauritius. But so my son's future in-laws have been to the accommodation where we're supposed to be staying, and have worked out, they've said that it's too hot even with the air conditioning, and so we can't stay there. So anyway, so there's a bit of a change of plans, and I've got so much to do between now and going away. Lots of beauty things that I need to do to make sure I'm plucked and waxed and got my nails done and stuff like that. But also with all the stuff that's going on with the business. So I've got some other interviews going on. I've got an early one. You feel really sorry for me. Well, the thing is, so it's a 14-hour flight overnight. So I've never been that far away before. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Apparently, like, you're supposed to sleep, but I've never tried to sleep on an aeroplane, and I don't think I'm going to be able to. Anyway, I digress. So yes, I have got booked in with the women from New Zealand again, who've already been on. So that's Katrina Briggs. Is it Biggs or Briggs? I always get that wrong. And Di Landy, they're coming on my podcast. Had that booked in for a while. And Uta is trying to get me and Irene Britt USA, all of the three of us, to do a live. So watch out for that. I'm not sure if it's going to happen because of the time differences. We're all in different time zones, so it's God knows if that's going to work out. So yes, I am taking a month off. So if you want counselling, you have to get in quick, or you have to wait until March, sadly. But hopefully it's not an emergency. Because yeah, I think we've got a busy time booked because we've got lots of stuff planned. So yes, I'm going to be doing lots of stuff. But in case anybody's thinking about burgling my house, don't bother, because there will be people in the house. Not leaving the house empty. My husband doesn't travel, so yeah, so I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Has anybody got anything to add? I think we've diminished in numbers. I must have bored everybody by reading out the Darlington Nurses thing, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it will get a lot more views once it's gone up on YouTube, because it doesn't really let me put a title on properly until after it's done. So I'll do that now. So thank you for joining us, and I shall see you next time.